Today I'm joined by Dustin Helms, founder of the Helms Group. Dustin, so you are a consultant to franchisees, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And what is it that you do to help them? Are you helping them decide the target market? Where do you start?
Well, the short answer is we do everything from start to finish. Our goal is just to help people get to where they ultimately want to be. So the first step is trying to understand, what their goals and objectives are, and really like what's possible. Because sometimes what people want isn't possible, and if that's the case, then my job is to tell them, "Hey, you can't do this. Like what you're looking to do isn't realistic, right?" And so from there, we started learning a little bit more about each other. We start with some basic information, then we get some more tactical, specific information, and it helps me create a framework to know what they're looking for. And once I know that, then I can go out and find it for them because, Lisa, there's about 6,000 franchises out there. These clients of mine, they're going to buy one, right? So that's where it helps to have a professional come in to show you which businesses can do the kinds of things that they want to do. And we know that they can because the franchisees are already doing those things that come from a similar background and so on and so forth. And then we also help them get funding for the business, as well as getting attorneys to review their contracts, all those types of things, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And that way we can make sure that when they get started, that they're getting started with the best opportunity, with the best territory, in the best market, that's the best fit for them based on their management experience, their sales experience, and so on and so forth. And that's how we make successful entrepreneurs every single day at the Helms Group.
Wonderful. So do these clients typically come in knowing what type of franchise they want?
Yeah, they always want a Chick-fil-A. At least they do until I start explaining to them the advantages and disadvantages of Chick-fil-A, right? But, about 41% of all franchises are food. So, if I were to ask you, to name off the first 3 franchises that come to mind, probably at least a couple of those are going to be food. Am I right?
Oh, they typically are all food. And for whatever reason, we are conditioned to think of franchise fast food.
Totally. And, there's all the traditional types of businesses out there, but there's a lot of, niche-y type of businesses too. And have you ever heard the saying, the riches are in the niches?
Absolutely.
Well, that can be very true as well. And so, it's not only to know what you are interested in, but you have to also have an open mind to be willing to look at other things that maybe you haven't looked at before, because the reality is almost always what people find is the best business for them is not what they initially set out for. And that's one of the exciting parts of what I do, is helping people learn about something that prior to our interactions together never might have even known that it existed.
Well, this is a very good position that you're in. With great power comes great responsibility.
100%.
So I see you putting on that cape. And what it makes me think of is that so many small businesses fail because they haven't gone through the steps. They skip forward to, I want to open a business. I think I want to open a donut shop or a pie shop or whatever. But they haven't done the due diligence before to find out, is that even what the market wants? So it sounds like you take them through a process to make a good decision.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like, I want to be good at golf, but if I go join the PGA Tour tomorrow, I'm going to get crushed, right? So it's like, you could think of it in a sense as like practice before the game, and you have to take time and be methodical in your diligence. And I'll help you with that, so, for example, is a market viable? Is it not viable? If you're looking at food, which food concept is going to be the best for this particular area and why, right? And so those are all just part of what we do every day. And yes, you're right. With great power does come great responsibility. And I don't take that lightly. I take it extremely seriously. And so, that's why I wake up in the morning, quite frankly. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and the joy I have is in helping other people become entrepreneurs too.
Well, I mean, I can imagine that, because these people that are coming with you and they're engaging with you and learning from you, for some of them, this is all or nothing. They're like, I've got to make a change in my life and make a legacy for my family. And so these are big steps that you're taking them through.
Yeah. I mean, if you, the best maybe way that I can explain what it's like to be an entrepreneur is, if you have kids and everybody tells you how great it is to have kids and you never had them, so you don't know. Well, it's like the same thing with being an entrepreneur. It's, you don't know how great it can be until you do it, And so, but I don't want anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur has the ability to fail. And the best way to not fail is in the due diligence. But it's also part of the reason why I specialize in franchising. Because, if you get out on your own and you start a business, that's like stepping up to a plate in baseball. You may hit a home run, you may strike out, you may lose everything. Franchising to me is more like starting out on third base. A base hit can bring you home, and home is a life that you never might have thought was possible for yourself or for your next generation. But it's possible through franchising, and we see people do that all the time, not only in buying a particular concept and then now they're expanding outward, adding additional territories and growing their market share and whatnot. But they're also through stacking their businesses. They've got one business that complements another, like an ancillary, type of business that plugs into an existing one. And so there's all kinds of different ways to be a successful entrepreneur, but none of that is possible unless the first one works. And that's really the key. And that's why you cannot rush into this. And that's why you need help from somebody who has kind of been there and done that. I'm a multi-unit franchisee myself, so I take my own advice from time to time. And so I think that's important too. Like the people that you're working with, like, do they believe in it enough to do it themselves? If not, why not?
Well, I find that to be a huge benefit that this is not your first rodeo. You have already gone down that path, so it makes you more credible, more experience. And tell me about the journey of your hand-holding. How long is the process? And once they start their franchise, what's the communication after that? Following up, more training, things like that.
Generally, my role is from initial thought of, I want to own a business, to now I've bought my business, right? And that process takes however much time it needs to take. And that's really up to my clients. Some people, they make quick decisions. They're like A-type personalities, right? Other people, they need to understand every single thing about how that business is going to operate for them before they can commit to it, right? So that process could be 6 weeks, it could be 6 months, or even longer, right? But generally, as a consultant, our engagement stops once they get into the franchise, because that's when the franchisor is providing their support and that kind of thing, which is one of the reasons why they buy franchise, right? But then they also get the community of franchisees that are doing the exact same thing every single day across the country, the boots on the ground, right? These are your peers that you can bounce things off of. And, I've also been vice president of a national franchise system before. And that was one of the coolest things to see is, somebody over here says, well, I have a problem with this XYZ in my business. And, another franchisee goes, you know what? I had that problem 2 years ago. Here's how I fixed it. Boom. Now they fixed it. But I stay where I feel like I'm a little bit different from a lot of consultants that are out there is that I stay engaged with all of my clients regularly, all the time. And, my role has kind of evolved a little bit into somewhat of like a coaching role after the purchase of the business, because, you buy a business, right? And especially if it's brick and mortar, they're a little bit more expensive to get into. And, you're a deer in the headlights. You're putting $500,000 into a business, and, it's not profitable the first 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And you go, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so there's a certain mindset that you have to have. And so I stay close with my clients to make for sure that they're always in that I can do this mindset, because the mind is a powerful thing. If you believe you can, 100%, you can. So do.
I'll tell you what, Dustin Helms, thank you so much. You light up when you are imagining and talking about working with those franchisees. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us
Thank
today.
you very much for having me.